Hello, and welcome back to another After Build Report Gunpla review. You may be wondering why what you're seeing is the old high-grade Strike Freedom from the early 2000s. Well, I'm not here so much today to talk about this kit in particular, though we are going to give it the full run-through of our normal review process, which goes through the build, accessories, the articulation, and then some final thoughts. But instead, today I am here to talk about the fact that this kit is absolutely gorgeous. As you can tell by looking at the markings on this and by the design of the box, this is the 7-Eleven branded version of the Strike Freedom High Grade. These kits are kits that were given out as prizes or special promotions through 7-Eleven in Japan, and I know that may seem weird to some people for there to have been gas station prizes for Gunpla, but these kits are not exactly a new thing. They've been doing this for years and years and years over there, and they are all absolutely glorious. 90% of them are full recolors of kits that already existed, and all of them, in my opinion, except for a few, look really cool. So I decided to pick this one up because I really enjoyed the color scheme, and then I decided to build it, which was probably a mistake, but we'll get into that here in a second as we talk about the build. The build for this Strike Freedom High Grade is not great. As I said, this is a kit from the early 2000s, and it really shows. Back then, the engineering was much different than it is today. Today, Bandai puts a lot of effort into making sure that even its high grades look really, really good out of the box. You've got a lot of good surface detail, you've got a lot of focus on hiding seam lines and getting rid of mold lines, and basically making the kits as posable and fun as possible. And I think while that was still the idea back in the early 2000s, the technology and techniques that they have evolved over the past 2 decades really have made a massive difference in the designs of the kits themselves, especially at the high grade level. So the build for this kit is very simplistic. There are quite a number of seam lines. You're going to see them up and down the fronts of both legs. You're going to see them across the tops of the shoulders. You're going to see them across the forearms. They're very prominent and they stand out really badly if you're looking at this thing close up. There's a lot of color inaccuracies in these kits, and while you do expect that from most high grades, even modern ones, some people who have only done more modern high grades may be shocked to the extent at which you actually end up needing to paint these things. One of the things that I will say I do like about this kit is the type of gold plastic that they've used for the inner frame is not the sparkly gold plastic that you've seen a lot of places. Don't get me wrong, this gold plastic still does mark up fairly awfully. You can see that behind the knees, you can see it on the fronts of the elbows. It's not a great plastic, but at least it's not the crappy sparkly kind. It's just sort of a flat gold color, which I appreciate. As for the actual putting this thing together, not terrible, could have been better. It didn't take very long, which I guess was a blessing. And the worst part by far of this entire build is the fact that it came with 4 sheets of stickers. So to run those down, you've got the generic eye foil stickers, and that sheet also contained the stickers that go onto the shoulders to make those parts red and shiny. You also have a sheet of your standard caution marking and other types of markings. You've got the sheet of stickers that are exclusive to this kit, which are all the 7-Eleven markings, and then you've got the stickers that go on the wing binders, and they are terrible. They're thick, they don't really mold to the actual dimensions of the parts. Even when you have them all on, there are a lot of places where the colors of the sticker don't match the color of the part underneath, especially in the greens, especially in the whites on the wing binders. I do believe this could have been done a lot better. There could have been a lot more attention to detail, but again, this kit is from the early 2000s, and this version of it, this 7-Eleven version, they probably didn't want to put a whole lot of money into because it was going to just be given away at a gas station as a prize. Overall, the build is not super amazing, but it gets the job done. And if you're not really up close to this thing, you're just kind of looking at it from a few feet away, it doesn't look as terrible as I make it out to be. Now, moving on to the accessories. For accessories with this kit, you don't really get a lot. You get 2 guns, you get a stand that you can put the top half of the mobile suit on to form a sort of strange display bust if you'd like. You also get actually 2 small figures, which I think is very interesting. Usually you get 1, or you get these sorts of things with an RG or a master grade, but to have these in a high grade I think is fairly interesting. You get the 2 beam saber handles that can be stored on the side / back skirts / rail gun attachments on these hips, and you have the beam effect parts that go with those. Overall, a fair number of accessories, nothing stand out, pretty standard stuff. I will say that the original high grade for this kit came with more effect parts, and you actually had a beam shield that you could attach onto the arm, but the 711 version forgoes that in favor of being 711 branded. But there you go, that's it. That's the accessories. They're fairly basic. There's not a lot to them, and they are adequate for what they do. One complaint I will have is that I do wish the guns had been a little bit more color accurate. They are fairly part separated, but all we get are big gray slabs of plastic that you slap some green stickers on, and that's not exactly appealing. There you go for accessories. Not a lot, but it does the job. On to the articulation now. You're not going to get a lot of great poses out of this kit. It only has a single hinge at the elbow, which gets you a little bit better than 90 degrees. The arms can go up to the sides fairly well. They actually do flex forward and back at the shoulders, and you get good rotation, but your arms are going to be fairly static. Because of the gimmick with how the top part of the mobile suit comes off and can attach onto that base for that bust style of display, and the way that the rail guns attach to the waist, you're not going to get any sort of waist movement here. You can't rotate it, you cannot bend it, there's no crunch, there's no side to side. It is just a straight peg, straight down, in place, and that's all you get. The legs move fairly well, although the top of the thighs are a single ball joint. It's not your typical peg into a rotating universal joint that we've seen in high grades as of late. And the knees, while double bending, are the type that look very hollow inside. So if you bend those knees too much, you're going to see a lot of empty space there. The feet are sort of the same way. It's a ball peg into the bottom of the feet, and while you can get a decent amount of range of motion from them, again, if you move them too far in any given direction, you're going to see some hollowness there. This is an old high grade, folks. It's not going to be up to modern standards. For the time it was made, it was probably very, very good, but there's a reason that they gave this thing a revised version not too long ago to replace this particular mold. And while I wish they had done the revived version in the 711 colors with the 711 branding so that I could be reviewing that instead, this is what we've got, and this is what I'm going to be showing you. Also, the wing binders move adequately. They're nothing to write home about, but they're not terrible either. So what are my final thoughts on this kit? Well, I like it a lot. I don't particularly like the build, or the articulation, or a lot of the hollowness, or the plastics that were chosen, or the seam lines. But what I do like is the concept of the 711 kits overall. I've got several of them. I think they're just absolutely wonderful promotional products. The fact that they are usually full recolor kits and not just the same kit with a different set of stickers really is, I think, going above and beyond what most people would expect for this sort of product. And I think that really does a service to just how fun these kits can be to build. They're going to stand out in your collection, certainly, because you're not going to just have a standard Strike Freedom that everyone's going to see, or you're not going to have a standard Gelgoog that everyone has seen, or you're not going to have a standard Akai that everyone has seen. You're going to have something a little bit different. You're going to have those different colors. You're going to have those different 711 markings. And yes, it does kind of make you feel a little dirty for supporting large corporations and celebrating a gas station, essentially. But at the same time, it is unique and it's fun. And I think there's a lot to be said for that. I think there's a place in everybody's collection for at least one 711 kit, whether you're going to go with just your basic RX-78 711 version, which is out there, or if you're going to go all the way to the top and get that perfect grade unicorn with the 711 green frame and markings. Whatever level you want to go with these 711 kits, go for it. I think everyone should build at least one. I think you should pick one up just to have it in your collection so that you get that really nice standout piece that everybody's going to look at who may be familiar with Gunpla but not necessarily with this particular promotional style, and go, oh, hey, that looks really neat. What is that? And you can explain it to them. Hey, it's just a kit that was given away as a prize at a gas station. There you go. That's all it is. That's real simple. This is not a good kit by modern standards. It's fine if you want to pick one up just on the base version, but I would highly recommend that if you are looking for a Strike Freedom and you don't want the 711 version, get the Revive. If you want a 711 kit that looks really good, has a really nice blend of colors, you really can't beat this one, in my opinion. So there you go. Those are my final thoughts. It's not complex. It's not crazy. I'm not doing any hot takes. I just really like this 711 kit. So until next time, everyone, have a nice day and keep building.